This week on In Post, we're processing a panorama from Mount Soledad. Hi everyone, my name's Scott Davenport. Thanks for joining me on In Post. And this week we're doing a panorama. I've not done one of these in a long time. And I was on the top of Mount Soledad in San Diego, which gives great views of the city. And it's a perfect place to do a panorama. If you hadn't seen the in the field episode on this, with some behind the scenes footage from that shoot, go ahead and check it out. Otherwise, let's just get over to the computer. I'll show you one of the sets of frames I took. We'll stitch them together and see what we come away with. So here in Lightroom, I have just one of the samples of the panoramas I took. So you can see I've done the final stitching already, but to show you what we have, I'll press N to go into survey mode. I have 4 shots, and this is that foggy, misty set of hills that really just kept catching my eye there. But you can see I overlap these extremely in these panos here. I mean, this part of this hill is here, and you can see the repetition of this highway going in the back to make sure that Lightroom would have plenty of overlap to work with. So to stitch these together, selected all of them. Whoa, let me get out of that mode there and make sure I don't select all of them. Select these 4, and then I just want to photo, merge, and hit panorama. And that pops up this main window here. You have a few choices, and I mainly do auto select. You can click on these and see what it does. I do check the auto crop. There's no reason for me to keep all that white junk around there. At this point, you hit merge. This goes into the background, and you can go do other things in Lightroom. And when it's all finished, I ended up with this image here. Let me bring this into develop, and I'll show you the finishing touches we did on it. So this is the pano, and it did a very nice job. Everything's nice and well connected. And this is the shot basically straight out of the camera. Now I'm in the before mode, hitting the backslash key in Lightroom. And let's walk through some of the things that I've done to this. One of the first things I did was lens corrections. Turn on the profile corrections to just take care of some perspective distortion that the cameras always introduce. And I did most of my work, if not all of my work, in the basic module, and then a few of the filters and brushes. But we'll get to those in a minute. So in the basics, I was happy with where exposure was. It's a little trickle off to where this would be the whitest area of the image, and I'm okay with a little clipping in the blacks. I like that little blacks in my photo. But did the normal, starting with my shadows was important. Shadows were pretty bad. Let me bring this down here. I can show you what's going on. This is all the adjustments applied again. Matter of fact, let me reset the tone here. You can kind of see this is about what it looked like there. Started with setting the black and white points, so the whites went up until I pushed this edge of the histogram all the way to the right there. Blacks went down until, again, I clipped a little bit. You can see I did a little bit of clipping there. Pressing the J key, you can see just a few specks, very hard to see on the screen here, of where that clipping comes in. And I did open up the shadows some. I felt that this foreground was a little bit too dark. Let me undo a bunch of that to get back to where I was before I reset things. So you can see whites went up, blacks came down, and then added a touch of contrast. So this is without the contrast, and that's with the contrast. Incidentally, I'm double clicking on the slider to reset it to 0. It's just a little shortcut. And didn't do anything else. Didn't change with clarity, didn't play around with that. I did a minor bit of touching in the detail pane. Just added detail here. I think this was not default, but subtle touch, not a whole lot. Now where I did do some more work is in the these graduated filters. So I got 2 of them here. You can see this one here. Click on that one. You can see this is doing a little bit of warming, right? You see that one? Let me if I click on it, it should let me select it. There we go. So we're doing a little bit of warming and a touch more contrast for the foreground. And this is where I increased the clarity. So I wanted the foreground to be crisper. I didn't want the whole scene to be crisp, because the clouds are soft and this fog is very soft. Just the foreground to be crisper, and also add a little sharpness there as well. Now for the top part, click on that one. There we go. Tug down on the exposure, and that's just to darken that sky just a little bit. Just a touch, not too much at all. Also, I believe I have an adjustment brush on here. There we go, right there. So this, again, I still felt that the foreground was a little soft, a little weak. There was a fair amount of haze that day, and so used clarity and sharpness brushed in just on these areas to just add a little punch to the foreground of the image. Close all of this stuff down, and then the last little tiny bit was a very, very subtle vignette. So I'll turn that off. You can see just the corners, just very subtly. If I turn it back on, they get a little bit darker. And how I do the vignettes, if you've seen videos of mine where I use the Perfect Photo Suite to do this, I start by taking the amount way down, right, and then taking the feather all the way to 0, so I can see exactly where the vignette's going to be applied. And playing with, you can play with the midpoint to change the the size really, and then roundness, what you want with the vignette. And I'll undo all of that stuff. So in the end, once I got the corners set to where I wanted them to be, I pop my feather back up and then just play with the amount. So I just got that nice little touch at the corners. I'll do a few steps here. There we go. So in the end, this was the panel that came out, and with a little bit of stylization and retouching here in Lightroom, this was the final image. I have to say that the Lightroom Panorama plug-in or merge option has made this really, really easy. So long as you overlap the images, it just worked very, very well. I was pretty happy with that. Overall, the image itself, it's kind of lukewarm on. There just wasn't enough really drama in the sky, and those misty hills that I saw in the background, that didn't really come through as much as I'd like in the photo. But sometimes you get the shot that you want, and sometimes you have to go back another day when the conditions are better. Part of me thinks, oh, if I had a longer lens, I could have reached farther, but that wouldn't have been a panorama. That would have been tightening in on that particular area. That might have been a different thing. I can always just crop in on this image to make that kind of picture. But all in all, I had fun. This was, it was fun to do this panorama. It was fun to think about when you're on scene, thinking about something differently with post in mind, to be able to put something together like this. So a tip of the week, I guess I really don't have one. Maybe don't get frustrated when you go out for a shoot. You might not get exactly what you wanted or what you'd hoped for. This is very true when you're doing landscapes or any type of outdoor work, because the universe has its own plans and it may not match with what you want. There's a saying I always like to keep in the back of my mind, that that sound you hear while you're making plans is the universe laughing. So until next time, if you've got a question, comment, just like to say you like the show, please drop by my website. You can contact me there. Hit me up on Twitter, Facebook. All my social links are on my site. It'd be great to hear from you. And I'll be back again soon with some more in the field and in post videos. Bye.